Good day, learners. I am very glad to get this opportunity so that we can just discuss some of the main issue in preparation for your upcoming examination in 2019. So that means the examination for April, August, as well as the one for November. Now let's start with Biology, Module 1, DES, Code 21. Welcome. I really would like you to get this, to let you know, and please just remind you on the fact that you really need to be a hard worker. You need to be dedicated. You need to be self-driven in this course in order for you to really get the mark that you need and for you to pass. Now, what I'm going to do in this presentation, I'm going to give you a certain information that will guide you in preparation for your upcoming examination 2019. I think by now you have a good idea what the subject is all about based on the fact that you have completed your assignments. Please know that I cannot give attention to all the whole content. So, should you have any question, please contact me for help. The details are there on the cover. Please ask. Now, the important notes that I would like you to pay attention to. Please pay attention to the exit learning outcome. At the beginning of each chapter, there are objectives. Each topic has objective. Please make sure you know them. And also pay attention to things like discuss. What does it mean when you are asked to discuss? Discuss, you must really point out, what is it? What is it? What is that? Discuss about photosynthesis. What is photosynthesis? Where does it take place? What is the importance of photosynthesis? If you have to list the most, whatever it is. Can it be like list the vertebrates? You must just need to give the name of those vertebrates. Now, the unit 1, our focus here will be on the characteristic of living organisms. Living organisms, they have certain characteristics that distinguish them from non-living organisms. You need to know them. The growth, what does it mean? The growth, what is the meaning of growth? Reproduction, movement, respiration, nutrition, irritability, and excretion. You can also be given a certain scenario where you can be asked to identify whether that scenario or a certain diagram, what does it demonstrate? Is it respiration, movement? So you really need to understand what is growth, what does it mean? Not only growth, but all the 7 characteristics. What is it? What does it mean? Good. Let's move on to the next unit, the diversity of living organisms. As we have many living organisms on Earth, but we have narrowed them to 5 main kingdoms. You need to know the main feature of kingdom: bacteria, protoctista, fungi, plants, and animal. You should also be able to distinguish between these 2 kingdoms. Let's say, for example, kingdom bacteria and kingdom protoctista. Kingdom bacteria are unicellular. All the living organisms that are classified in this kingdom are unicellular, meaning that they are only made up of 1 cell. On the other hand, protoctista, you have a wide range of animals or living organisms. Some are unicellular and some are multicellular. And you go to fungi, plants, and animal. Then we have 2 main cell types. Cell type means we have the eukaryotic cells or prokaryotic cells. Now those type of cells, whether it's a prokaryotic cells or eukaryotic cells, they do have structures, or we call them organelles. Now such organelles, you need to know them. You need to know what it is, where is it located, meaning that you need to be able to label them. Cell surface membrane, for example, you need to know the rough endoplasmic reticulum, the smooth endoplasmic reticulum, the Golgi body. You need to know the lysosome, the chloroplast, mitochondrion, and the nucleus. This is only some, but I'm referring to all the structures that are found in a cell. Now you need to know the meaning that you can be given a diagram, and you need to label them. You also need to make sure you know the function. Also, you need to make sure you can give a description of that certain structure. For example, the cell surface membrane. You need to give a description, for example, where you have to say like, the cell surface membrane is found in both cells, meaning that it's found in both animal cells and plant cells, or it's found both in prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. So you really need to give a description of all the structures found in the cells. Then we go to the vertebrates and the invertebrates, the features and the adaptation. The vertebrates, we have a wide range of vertebrates, and the vertebrates are classified into the different phylum, but you need to look at the arthropods. For example, the arthropod, what are the main features for the all arthropods, as well as the classes under the heading, under the phylum vertebrates. Excuse me about that. Vertebrates, these are the animal that have a backbone. So you need to know all the classes within the vertebrate. Meaning you need to make sure the vertebrates, for example, when it comes to the classes of vertebrates. For example, when you look at the classes of the vertebrates.
Here, not on TV.
Okay.
Here.
All right. When you look at the classes of vertebrates, you need to make sure that the vertebrates, you have 5 classes of vertebrates. These are the chordata, these are the fish, these are the reptiles, the crustacean, the reptiles, as well as the amphibian and mammals. You need to know their main features and their adaptation to the environment. And also the invertebrates. The invertebrates here, please don't confuse them. The invertebrates are where you have the other phylum called arthropods. Now, you have within the arthropods, you have now subclasses where you have the insect, the arachnid, the crustacean, and the myriapods. I just want to emphasize that, please, your vertebrates, your classes within the vertebrates, these are your chordata. These are, please, you have the fish, these are the reptiles, these are the birds, as well as these are the mammals. So, chordata, it's another name of vertebrates. It's not a class. Just to make it clear there, please, the vertebrates, another name of the vertebrates is called chordata. So that is another name of a phylum, vertebrates. Under the vertebrates, you have then the classes. Now, those classes, it's there where you have the fish, where you have the reptiles, where you have the birds, and where you have the mammals. And the invertebrates, these are the animals that don't have a backbone. Please ensure now within the invertebrates, you have now the arthropods, where you have the classes of insect, arachnid, crustacean, and myriapods. You need to know the adaptation as well as how they differ from each other. Good. Let's move on to the next one. And the next one, we have the microscope. Within the microscope, you need to know the different type of the different part of a microscope. You need to know, for example, the ocular lens, the objective lens, as well as you need to know the stage. You need to know their function as well. And also, why do we use the microscope? You also need to know, in biology, the way we draw, it's quite different from other way on how other people draw. We pay attention to their drawing skills, the line, the quality of your line. We call it outline. It must be jointed. It should not be fuzzy. It must be smooth and solid. Your drawing need to be large. You need to make sure no shading is done. Otherwise, it covers the parts when you are labeling. You also need to make sure you always label your drawing. You need to make sure you label your drawing. Also, the enzyme in the enzyme application, you need to know what are the enzymes, you need to know the structure of the enzyme, you need to know the example of different enzymes. For example, the digestive enzyme. We have amylase that digests starch into maltose. We have also maltase that digests maltase that end with ASE, that digests maltose into glucose. You need to know your protease enzyme that digests. We have two types of protease enzyme, pepsin as well as trypsin, that digests pepsin digests protein into polypeptide, and trypsin digests polypeptide into amino acid. And you need to know the location where this different digestive system, this different digestion process occurs. So it's very, very important, as well as the enzyme application. Where do we use enzyme in our daily life? We use it in seed germination. We also use it in washing powder and also in dairy industry. You need to know its application there. Then nutrition in general. Nutrition in general, we have two types of nutrition. Remember, when we talk about living organisms, we have plants and animals. So you need to make sure you really know the nutrition in plants. That is photosynthesis, how photosynthesis occurs, all the factors that should be there for photosynthesis to take place, as well as nutrition in human. You need to know all the main classes, food groups. You need to know your carbohydrates, your protein, as well as the function, your fat, your vitamin, your minerals, as well as your dietary fiber and water. And note, we have different type of vitamins as well as different type of minerals. You need to know their function as well as the deficiency. For example, a mineral called iron, its deficiency is anemia. So you really need to know all the other remain mineral and vitamin. They are clearly indicated in your modules, prescribed modules. Nutrition in human, I spoke about it. Nutrition in plants, I spoke about it as well, for where you have photosynthesis. Now, the human digestive system. The human digestive system here, you need to know the system that is responsible for digestion, starting from the mouth until the anus. You need to know the associate or organ, for example, the stomach, the esophagus, the small intestine, the large intestine. When it comes to the small intestine, please familiarize yourself. We have two parts that made up the small intestine. The duodenum, that is the first part. The second part, the ileum. Please, you need to make sure that you know their structure. You know the structure that are found in the ileum, the villi, and how they speed up the process of absorption. Also familiarize yourself with the process that occurs in the human digestive system. That is your ingestion, that is your digestion, that is your absorption, assimilation, and ingestion. So familiarize yourself with all that. We also have then the circulatory system. The circulatory system, please familiarize yourself with all the blood. What are the different components of blood? Make sure we have the blood cells. We also have the blood vessels, the tube that carry blood. You must also familiarize yourself with the heart, the different part of the heart. Remember, we have 3 question paper for April, August, and November. You really need to make sure that you cover everything under this heading. Then we move on to the blood vessels, which is part of the circulatory system. There are 3 main ones, which are, we have the artery, and remember, when we have more than one artery, we call it arteries. Then we have the vein, and we have the blood capillaries. Then we need to know their structural part. What are the structure that make up the artery? For example, they are made up of thick muscular. They have thick muscular. We talk about the valve that are found in the artery, also in the vein, and also in the blood capillaries. You must also ensure you can also be able to differentiate. They can differentiate between the capillary and the artery and also the vein, or the difference between the artery and the vein. They are very clearly indicated in your booklet there. So you really have to do some reading. There is also, you can also be looking at the similarity between these three blood vessels. For example, all of them, they have all of them, they have a lumen, the space where blood flows. But when you notice some of the differences, that the artery do not have valve, but the vein have valve, and also the blood capillary also have valve. Good. Let's try just to understand, read and understand the stated learning objective for the subject. Please, we have about 12 topic there in the DES, starting from the characteristic of living organisms to the transport in human. So you have a quite range of content that you need to cover. Just ensure that you really cover it well so that you can obtain the best mark, because everything that is assessed, it's taken in those modules and it's assessing the stated learning objective at the end of each topic. I will also urge you to read the instruction very careful. Your answer need to be complete. For your answer to be complete, you need to read, and please read with understanding. Biology is a science subject which requires you to apply that knowledge. You need to apply that knowledge because your question is based on different levels. It can ask the list or to define, which is a simple level, or it can ask you to synthesize, to suggest, which is a little bit advanced level of providing information. Please write as neatly as you can. Try not to leave space. Even if you don't understand the question, please try again and try just to, what is it? What is the question is asking? Try to provide information that is as asked, whatever that you know about that. But in order to avoid not knowing, please, you need to prepare, and make sure you just spend more time on your book. Good luck with your examination, and thank you.